Hi, welcome to the Pearls and Polish podcast. I'm your host, Rachel, coming to you from just outside Sacramento, California. This is episode 40, so if you are a new viewer, welcome, and if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. This is my little corner of the internet where I talk about knitting, books I'm reading, shows that I'm watching, and just anything else that we're up to. So let's get started with episode 40. If you are a returning viewer, then you know last week we did not have an episode. I was on vacation, and I'll tell you guys about that in a little bit, but it's good to be back in front of the camera sharing what I've been working on with all of you. So I actually have technically five finished projects to show you. Since we didn't have that episode last week, I do have a little more to show you this week. But we'll start with the Forgotten Objects projects. So if you haven't been around for a bit, I set a goal for myself for 2024 that I was going to finish the Forgotten projects. And for me, that means any project that I have started in the last 4 or 5 years and never finished. So this has been good to kind of keep my works in progress kind of low, and then also not have that pressure of I need to finish things or I have deadlines or commitments. I'm just knitting what I want. So this started out as a tank top and then decided I didn't want to make a tank top anymore. So instead, this is a hat. This is the Watch Cap and Mittens by Purl Soho, and I'll link their website down below. This is a free pattern. I'll also link all the makers and designers that I talk about in today's episode in the description. And then here are the fingerless mitts. So the hat I did how the pattern says. Actually, I'm gonna try it. I haven't put it on yet. So it's actually quite loose. This might end up being a hat for my husband because it is not as tight as I thought it would be. I may have stretched it a little too much when I blocked it though. But anyways, there it is. I also wear lots of slouchy hats, so that might be throwing me a bit. But anyways, here's my hat. Here are my gloves. I'm gonna put these on too. So the hat is written as the pattern says. The gloves I did a little longer than what the pattern says for the hand parts, just because I get cold really quickly, and so I want to make sure that most of my hands are covered, but I can still use my fingers for knitting. So there's that. The gloves are really warm and they fit really well. I think I may have been a little over ambitious as far as the hat size. Yeah, not really sure what went wrong there, but it will find a home. If not with me, I'm sure one of my kids will take it or my husband will wear it, but we will make sure that gets worn. I do have a skein and a half left over from that kind of set. I had originally bought 3 skeins of this colorway. And so, did I mention the colorway? I don't know if I did. It's called Mr. Pocket. It's by The Farmer's Daughter, and it's on their Juicy DK base, which was lovely to work with. So I could just make another hat. I just make a smaller size. Might do that. Hard to say. But anyways, those are done. Really enjoyed making those. Next is my Engrain Shawl. I finished my Engrain Shawl. This was a wonderful pattern to work with. Yeah, I loved every bit of it. It is on the larger side. It is pretty big. I don't know if it's gonna fit all the way in the camera, but it's pretty big, which actually works out really well because if I'm gonna wear this in the cold, I'm gonna want, a fair amount of fabric around my person to keep me warm. I'm trying to find the middle. Where are we? Here we go. So I'll probably end up wearing it like this, just so I can kind of keep my neck warm. I have some space to kind of tuck up around my ears, around my jacket, and just kind of keep warm. But this is a great pattern. If you have 3 skeins of fingering yarn, that are just meant to go together, definitely check out this pattern because it is written beautifully. It's written step by step, so there's no guessing, and it was just very enjoyable. So now that I'm all frumpled, we'll fix ourselves up a little bit. Okay, the next projects. So again, like I said, I was on vacation. I took these with me when I was on vacation. I wasn't sure how much knitting time I was gonna have, but I was like, well, 2 projects is a good safe number. One of them I had already started. I was like halfway through, and the other one I hadn't started yet. So I thought, well, this will be great. On the unlikely chance that I finish one, I have the other one to work on. So the first one, and this was the halfway finished one. These are what is going on here? I just looked and I've got some tails sticking out. I'll fix this in a little bit. Not a big deal, but these are my Old Romance socks. So if you were here for the last couple episodes, I had a sample knit that I was a part of and did of this sock pattern. The pattern was wonderful. The designer was lovely. Everything was so well thought out and clear, and communication was wonderful. I just didn't really care for the pattern. I liked the pattern on paper. I liked watching the designer knit the pattern, but when it came to me knitting the pattern, I just didn't like the way it looked on my feet. So I made the decision not to knit up the second sock. I did fulfill my requirement for the test knit, but decided I would rather wear this in a different design. So I went with the High Desert Socks by Lindesy Fowler. And I have knit probably like 12, if not more, pairs of these socks. These are my favorite DK socks because they're so versatile. The way that Lindesy designs them originally is that you hold 2 strands of finger weight yarn double. So it's usually like the cake of yarn, and then you've got like 1 to 2 minis that you use for the heel, toes, and cuffs, and some stripes on the leg. I have knit the pattern as it is written. I have changed the pattern a little bit, and instead of doing it how she writes it, I use it as a scrappy sock, or I've done it just like this, where I just marl one colorway with like white. So that's what I did with this one. And I think it turned out really nice. I like how the white kind of breaks up the color a little bit, but you can still see the stripes. I like how thick it is. These are wonderful for your boots. I have the Blundstone boots. I think that's how you pronounce it. And these fit great in those boots, and my feet feel very warm in them. So definitely one of my favorite patterns. Can't wait to try these on. I haven't washed them or blocked them yet. I just sewed in all my ends. So they are ready to put on if I decide I don't want to block them. So that might be an option for me. And then the other pair of socks I did, these ones I cast on the plane. And the flight was only like an hour and a half tops. So I don't knit socks that fast, but I started them on the plane. I worked on them throughout the weekend that I was there, and I worked on them on the way home. I finished these like the day after I got home. This is the exclusively dyed colorway for Bella Filato's Vintage Valentine box. So that was her Valentine countdown that she did this year. And this colorway is actually dyed up by Tiny Human Knits. And she does self-striping yarn. And I think she only does 50 grams skeins. So this skein was 50 grams. And then I pulled a mini from my own collection to help supplement. But look at those, guys. They're so pretty. I love these. No, I had this green in my stash. It's slightly, I want to say a little more yellow, more avocado, but it was the closest color I could get to that green. I did have a blue that was pretty close as well, but I think that had a little more speckling than I was willing to have in my socks. So I did use that little mini skein for my toe and for my heel, but then I used the rest of, sorry, I'm getting a package at my front door. But then I used the whole 50 grams for my socks. So I started toe up, and this pattern is called the Monday Socks by Sarah Opie. And what makes this pattern nice is that it has a little, hold on, let's see if you can see it this way. It's got a little heel flap and gusset right here. Can you see this V? That's your kind of like heel extender, if you will. You increase, then you put your heel in, and then you decrease. So it gives you a little more space in the heel. So I really enjoy this pattern when I have something like self-striping yarn that I do need to make a little extra space for myself, because I do need kind of that heel flap and gusset. But I want to use self-striping. I don't want to break up a pattern. I want to do toe up. So this is really great for that. And then the heel is the Fish Lips Kiss short row heel, which you guys know is my favorite way to do a short row heel. So it was very easy to plug that in instead of the short row heel that was written, which is a lovely short row heel, don't get me wrong. But I just like this one better. So that's how that looks like on that sock. So these are sisters, not twins. If you look at the bottom, they do not start on the same color. For self-striping yarn, I've gotten to the point where I'm okay if they don't match. Same as with these ones. These are sisters, not twins. They start in different places. So I started these with a center pull ball, and I kind of worked from both ends to the middle. However, both socks ended up, let me flip them this way, with the gray. And I loved how they both ended in gray, and then I put in the toe, which you can't really tell. But the last color for each of these socks was gray. For these ones, I just found the middle, cut it, and then just started knitting. So I think the middle color was blue, but I love how these turned out. I think they turned out really fun. Those also need a bath, but really enjoyed those. So those are my finished objects. I know it's a lot more than we usually have. All right, works in progress, whips. This kind of coincides with a knit along I just started. So very excited about that. So Denise of Earth Tones Girl has the I Love Books and Knitting. No, it's I Love Books and Sock Knitting Cal 24. That's like the whole hashtag. And the whole idea is that for 2 months, so starting March 1st, ending May 1st, you read books and you knit socks. And it could be any way that you enjoy reading books. So audio, Kindle, physical books, whatever. And then any way you enjoy knitting socks. So kids socks, baby socks, adult socks, fingering weight, DK, whatever, doesn't matter. So I'm really excited for this because you guys know I love books and I love knitting socks. So I have the worst decision paralysis when it comes to making decisions on what I'm going to work on. I don't know why. I always do. I always come up with these really great ideas and then I can't make a decision. So of course that happened when I was trying to plan out what I was going to knit for this knit along, and decided that's okay. I'm going to pull like 12 to 24. I ended up with 24 colorways, and I'm gonna write them all down and I'm put them in a little bowl, and every time I'm ready to knit a new pair of socks, I'm gonna pull one out of the bowl. So that's what I did. So I wanted to do a lot of my sock tubes because I have 12 of them. And if you're not familiar with a sock tube, it is a giant tube. Like it is pretty self-explanatory. Like so. And it's fairly long. Why is Alexa talking to me? Anyways, it's fairly long. And the whole idea is that you kind of cut it in half and you add in your heels, toes, and cuffs. Or you can make it into like a scarf or whatever. So I have 12 of these. Over the last couple years, I've been sending sock yarn that I really wanted in socks, but wasn't gonna have time to knit up, to 2 different ladies, and I'll tag them down below. But they have this machine, it's called a circular sock machine. It's CSM. And I want one of these. However, they can be quite expensive and they take some space in your house, and I don't have space. One day I will get one of these. But anyways, it like cranks them into this giant tube. So I have 12 of these that have just been sitting. I need to get them knit up. So those are half of what's in the little bowl. The other half were skeins that were either self-striping or literary themed or both. And I just picked 12 because that seemed like a really even number, and I put those in the bowl as well. So the first two that I picked were this one, which I just showed you. This colorway is called Chihiro and No Face, and this is by La Ben Ami. She's based out of Paris, France, and she did a series on the Miyazaki films. So this one is based off of Spirited Away, which is one of my favorites. So very excited for this one. I think I'm gonna do, actually, I know I'm gonna do the heel in black, so it doesn't break up that kind of stripy pattern, but the cuff and the toes are gonna be in this yarn. And then the other one I have is by, I think it's pronounced Machete Shop. And this one is called Starry Night. And I've already split this into 2 tubes. I've already got the first cuff done. I'm gonna start the second cuff on this one. I've already got my needles in for the heel. So these actually go by quite quickly, which is why I didn't feel bad putting all 12 plus another 12 skeins. Because if I end up picking, at least 6, it's gonna go by quickly. So anyways, this is Machete Shop. This one's called Starry Night. I got this at Stitches West. When it was in Sacramento, there was a shop, I believe it was Firebird, who had little like grab bags, and you got coupons inside of them, and some were like a percentage off or mini skeins or whatever. And so I got a percentage off and bought this skein. So I'm really excited to finally be working on these colorways. They've just been put off for other things for a really long time. So excited for that. So you'll be seeing lots of books, lots of sock knitting, but that's pretty typical around here. So if you have not joined the Knit Along and you're interested in doing so, please do. There's no entrance fee, there's no application. You just knit socks and read books. There is a hashtag on Instagram, and there is a Ravelry group. I know not everyone does Instagram or Ravelry, but you do have stuff there. I believe there's gonna be a couple prizes, but the intention is read books, knit socks, and just have a good time. So check that out. Moving on, acquisitions. So I did have 3 new acquisitions just before I left on my trip. So I took pictures. I'm gonna put those in here. They're already stashed away, so I'm not gonna go pull them out. But I had done a pre-order with Freckled Whimsy, and she had done the Zodiac colorways last year for 2023. And I am an Aquarius. I don't follow like astronomy, I think it's astrology, or like zodiac or whatever, but I'm an Aquarius. I don't know if that means anything or not, but I saw this colorway last year right around my birthday, and I wanted it, and I did not order it because I was trying to like not order anything. And then I really regretted it because I really like the colors. And so when it came back as a pre-order this year, I was like, absolutely, I am getting this. So I bought that, and then she also had another colorway called Expecto Patronum, which is a Harry Potter theme colorway. I hadn't seen this one before, but I fell in love with the way the colors work together. So pre-ordered that one as well. So those came in. And on the same day that those came in, my Woolberry Collective colorway came in. If you're not familiar with the Woolberry Collective, the yarn dyers, who are called Woolberry, they have like their monthly subscription, and so they call it the Collective. And so I get 1 skein every month. I can always order more skeins if I really want to, and you pay extra for that. But 1 skein is included in your membership. They're not open to new members just yet, but when they do, I'll let you guys know. So that colorway is called Button Jar, and that came in as well. So it was a very happy yarn day, but those have been cataloged and put away, and they'll come out at some point. So those are the only acquisitions. So I'm still doing pretty good. As far as reading and watching, obviously I'm gonna be doing a lot of reading since we're gonna be doing this I love books and knitting, sock knitting, knit along. So right now I'm reading Siege and Storm by Leah Bardugo. It's the second book in her Grishaverse kind of series world thing. The first one is called Shadow and Bone, and that was also turned into a show on Netflix, which I thought was wonderfully made. Season 2 was wonderful. I was so upset that they canceled for season 3. I don't know what happened, but really enjoy that book. So if you haven't read those, I definitely encourage you to read those. They're really good. And then I'm going to read the other books kind of in that world. So there's Six of Crows. I think there's another one. And then there's like 2 more. Anyways, you'll see those on this channel in a little bit. And then for shows, I'm rewatching The Magicians. I've watched it quite a few times, but I just needed something, and that's what was around. It's like, perfect. I know this show really well, so if get distracted, I'm not paying attention all the time, it's gonna be fine because I know what happens. So I've been enjoying that. And then life updates. Went and saw my sister. She lives in Southern California. And other times that I've gone, I usually go for a couple days in February for my birthday, and I go by myself. And we go and we do all sorts of things in her city, and then I come home and I'm ready to like be with people. It's like a refresher for me. This year, we did not do all the things. We usually like pack our 3 days full. We did not do that this year. And it was so refreshing. It was wonderful. I got to sleep in till 7 o'clock, which is pretty late for me. We ordered a lot of takeout. We watched a lot of TV. I took a nap in the middle of like the late afternoon, and it was just what I needed. Spending time with my sister. It was great. So got a lot of knitting done, obviously, because we were watching a lot of movies. Next, what else happened? Right before I left, I tested for my yellow belt in Taekwondo, passed my test. So I now have a little yellow belt with a black stripe instead of a little orange belt with a black stripe. So I've been really enjoying taking Taekwondo, doing it with my kids, and just learning how to hit things. It's been really good. And then last, everyone is getting sick in my house. Right now in my area of California, we're in that like fall spring season. So for the last couple days, it's been like almost 70 degrees. So I was wearing a t-shirt and just, in my jeans, but I was wearing a t-shirt and I did not need a sweater, and it was great. And then all of a sudden we have another storm system. So right now the light's been kind of going in and out. But we go from like really dark and stormy and lots of rain all of a sudden and wind, and then it's nice. So there's that. So colds are going around. There's this cold that everyone's getting in my area that just lasts forever. Allergies are kicking in because everything is blooming because it's getting warm. So I've already started my allergy medicine regimen to try and combat some of that. And then one of my kids just got pink eye. So she's home today. Very sad. So we're being very careful. We're on the meds. We're washing hands. But it's just a matter of time before someone else gets it. Hence the glasses and no makeup, since I usually wear contacts. So touching my eyeballs is a no-go for me for the next couple of days until we get this kind of sorted out, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal. And then I had one more thing I was going to share with you guys, and I don't remember what it is now. Anyways, I remember. It was my stats for February. How many skeins came in and how many skeins went out. So in a couple days, I'm going to be posting my planner setup video, which I just recorded this morning. I was hoping to plan it yesterday, and everything happened yesterday. I didn't have any time, which was fine. But I read 5 books. I started number 6, but I'm still reading that. But I finished 5 books in the month of February. And then I had 5 skeins come in, And I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 skeins go out to put me at a grand total of 87 skeins still in stash. Now, for kind of reference and clarification, I did have a couple skeins that I sold. I did give away a skein, and then the rest were skeins that were actually used. But I had more skeins go out than come in. So yay me. So I'm still working on using up as much of my stash as possible, being a little more intentional on my purchases, making sure I'm not buying just for like the sake of FOMO, but I'm actually like working with purpose. So there is that. I think that's all I've got for today. I'm going back through my notes. I think that's it. So thanks for joining me. I hope you guys had a good time. Definitely keep an eye out for my planner setup video coming out in a couple days, and I will see you guys next week.